If you still want your brother to make it out of this county alive, shut your mouth, Judge Calvin Whitmore said through clenched teeth. Do not test me, you little brat. He will be buried alive behind that wall before sundown. Whitmore slammed the file folder against the bench and glared straight at Maya William with a kind of dead-eyed malice that made the room stop breathing. Your Honor, this receipt proves the system is wrong. Maya took one step forward. Her voice did not shake. My brother paid the fine. You have no right to keep him locked up. Bang. The gavel came down hard enough to split the silence. Contempt of court, Whitmore shouted. Sheriff, take Elijah William to disciplinary isolation. No bond, no visitors, no phone calls. Transfer him to state custody tonight. Elijah William jerked against the deputy holding him. What? No, Your Honor. I paid it. I paid the fine. Move him, Whitmore ordered. Two deputies grabbed Elijah at once. One twisted his arm behind his back. The other snapped cuffs around his wrists before Maya could take another step. The metal click cut through her mother's cry. Ruth William rose from the front row. Please, please don't take my son. He didn't do anything. Sheriff Dale Rusk turned on her in full view of the court. He did not whisper. He did not pretend to be polite. He strode straight to Ruth, grabbed her by the arm, and shoved her back down onto the bench. Sit down, old woman, he said, before this county teaches both your children what obedience looks like. Maya's eyes locked on his hand. Take your hand off my mother. Rusk squeezed harder. Ruth gasped. Whitmore leaned forward. Miss William, you are one breath away from joining your brother. Maya did not look at him. Sheriff, I said, take your hand off her. Rusk let Ruth go with a push that made her shoulder hit the back of the bench. Elijah lunged against the deputies. Don't touch my mother! Rusk spun and drove his forearm into Elijah's chest, slamming him back between the deputies. Elijah lunged against the deputies. Don't touch my mother! Rusk spun and drove his forearm into Elijah's chest, slamming him brutally against the defense table. Before Elijah could gasp for air, Rusk nodded to his men. Get this piece of trash out of my sight, Whitmore roared, standing up as his polite facade completely shattered. Remand him to disciplinary isolation immediately. No bail, no phone calls. Transfer him to the state facility tonight. Maya stepped forward, her voice dropping into a lethal, steady low. You are violating federal civil rights in open court, Judge. Look at the receipt in my hand. The fine is paid. Win quote. Whitmore didn't even glance at the paper. This court does not make mistakes, girl, and that paper doesn't exist unless I say it does. Deputies, move the defendant now. The deputies dragged Elijah toward the side door. Maya! Elijah shouted. Ruth tried to stand again. Rusk pointed at her. You get up again, and I will put you on the floor. Maya looked at her mother. Stay seated, Mama. Ruth shook her head, tears spilling down her face. They're taking him. I know. Elijah dug his heels into the floor, but the deputies forced him backward. His shoulder hit the doorframe. The side door opened. Maya moved. Rusk blocked her path. Family stops here. Maya looked past him at Elijah. Where are you taking him? Rusk leaned close enough that everyone could hear him. Somewhere nobody will hear him call your name. Elijah's face changed. Ruth covered her mouth. Maya's hand tightened around the receipt, but her voice stayed flat. Thank you, Sheriff. Rusk blinked. For what? For saying that out loud. Whitmore snapped. Remove the defendant now. The deputies hauled Elijah through the side door. The door slammed shut. Ruth broke into a low cry. The side door slammed shut with a heavy, metallic thud, leaving only the sound of Ruth's weak, trembling sobs on the floor. Maya didn't look at the empty doorway. She turned slowly, her face an unreadable mask of stone, and slid the receipt safely back into her folder. Whitmore leaned over his bench, his eyes narrowing as he dropped his final threat. You breathe one word outside this courthouse about missing records, Miss William, and your brother's transfer will be the least of your family's problems. Maya helped her shaking mother to her feet. She stopped at the aisle, turning her head just enough to lock eyes with the judge. Recorded. The word was quiet, too precise for an accident. Maya turned toward Ruth and held out her hand. Ruth stood slowly, shaken but still upright. Maya guided her mother toward the aisle. Behind them, Whitmore spoke again. Miss William. Maya stopped but did not turn. You say one more word about missing records in this courthouse, and your brother's transfer will be the least of your family's problems. Maya turned then. Her face was calm now. Not soft, not pleading. Calm in a way that made Rusk's eyes narrow. She looked straight at Judge Calvin Whitmore. Recorded. The word was quiet. Too quiet for a threat, too precise for an accident. Whitmore did not answer. Rusk looked from Maya to the bench, then back to Maya. Ruth gripped her daughter's arm. Maya? Maya gently covered her mother's hand with her own. Come on, Mama. They walked out of the courtroom with the receipt still in Maya's folder. Elijah behind a locked door, and Judge Whitmore staring after her as if, for the first time that morning, he was no longer sure who had been trapped. The double doors of the courtroom slammed shut, but the terror followed them into the narrow hallway. Ruth's fingers dug into Maya's arm, her grip shaking. Maya, they said state custody tonight. They're going to kill your brother. They won't, Maya said, her voice dropping into a tight, focused whisper. Keep walking, Mama. Don't let them see you shake. Before they reached the exit, the heavy secured side door burst open. 2 deputies dragged Elijah out. His hands were cuffed brutally behind his back, his face bruised from the defense table. Elijah, Ruth cried, lunging forward. Sheriff Rusk stepped directly into their path, his massive frame blocking the hallway. He shoved Ruth back into Maya's arms. Family time is over, old woman. Get out of my building. Maya caught her mother, then stepped straight into Rusk's face. You assaulted him in open court, Sheriff. If he doesn't see a doctor, his blood is on your hands. Rusk laughed, leaning down until his lips almost touched Maya's ear. In this county, I am the doctor, the judge, and the undertaker. Now move, before I lock you up next to him. Behind him, the deputies shoved Elijah through the exit doors leading to the transport vans. Elijah kicked back, shouting, Maya, I paid it. The receipt. The heavy door slammed shut, cutting off his voice. You ladies have a nice afternoon. Rusk sneered, nodding to a nearby deputy. Escort them out. If they step foot in this courthouse again, arrest them. The deputy grabbed Maya's shoulder to force her toward the glass exit doors. In the crowded chaos of the hallway, a body suddenly collided into Maya's side. It was Lena Price, the court clerk. Her face was bloodless, her eyes wide with sheer terror. As the deputy shoved Maya forward, Lena's hand flashed out, slipping a tightly folded piece of paper directly into the pocket of Maya's blazer. Don't open it here, Lena whispered, her voice barely a breath against the noise. They deleted it. He planned it all. Before Maya could speak, Lena vanished into the back offices, and the deputy violently pushed Maya and Ruth through the front glass doors, locking them out in the suffocating Georgia heat. Ruth collapsed onto a concrete bench, sobbing uncontrollably. What are we going to do? Nobody will help us. The law belongs to them. If your heart tightened, watching Maya stand between her mother's fear, her brother's injustice, and a system turning its back on her family, please hit like to stand with Maya. And comment where you're watching from, your city or state, because someone near you might be watching this story too. Maya stood at the top of the courthouse steps. She didn't look back at the glass doors. She pulled the folded note from her pocket and opened it. Payment deleted from the system at midnight, the hurried ink read. Transfer order signed yesterday morning. Whitmore knew you were coming. A cold, deadly smile touched Maya's lips. It wasn't a mistake. It was a premeditated trap. They thought they had buried a poor black kid from the South, just like they had done for 30 years. Maya walked down the steps, guiding her mother straight to a black SUV parked under the shade across the street. She opened the door, settled her mother inside, and climbed into the driver's seat. She didn't start the engine. Instead, Maya reached beneath the dashboard, pulling out an encrypted federal radio. She hit the switch, turning the frequency to the FBI tactical channel. Special Agent Daniel Brooks's voice came through instantly, sharp and waiting. Agent William, we monitored the entire courtroom audio. We have the assault, the weapon cocking, and the verbal threats. Do we move in? Maya looked back at the courthouse through the rearview mirror, her eyes turning into shards of ice. Negative, Brooks. Wait until they put him in the transport van, Maya ordered, her voice completely stripped of the helpless sister persona. Let them commit the federal kidnapping. I want the judge, the sheriff, and every deputy who touched my brother. We are taking the whole county down. Deleted after midnight. The parking lot felt too open. Maya did not like standing where anyone from the courthouse could watch her. She kept one hand on Ruth's elbow and the other on the folder. Inside it were 2 pieces of paper now. Elijah's receipt and Lena Price's note. Payment was deleted after midnight. Transfer order was prepared before court began. Ruth kept looking back at the courthouse doors. That woman could lose her job for giving you that. She knows. Then why did she do it? Maya opened the passenger door for her mother. Because somebody in there still has a conscience. Ruth did not sit. She held the door and looked at Maya with wet, angry eyes. A conscience won't stop them from putting your brother in a van. No. But proof might. Maya, they don't care about proof. Maya looked down at the folder. Then we make them care. Ruth got into the car. Maya closed the door, walked around to the driver's side, and paused long enough to scan the front steps, the side entrance, the sheriff's cruiser near the curb, and the narrow service door Elijah had been dragged through. Sheriff Rusk stood just inside the glass, watching her. Maya looked back at him. She did not hurry. She did not hide the folder. She got into the car and started the engine. Ruth wiped her face with a napkin she had pulled from her purse. Where are we going? Somewhere they can't hear us. That sounds like you know something I don't. Maya pulled out of the courthouse lot. I know enough to know we don't talk in their parking lot. Ruth turned toward her. Baby, are you in trouble? Elijah is in trouble. That is not what I asked. Maya kept her eyes on the road. I'm handling it. Ruth laughed once, but there was no humor in it. You've been saying that since you were 16. I'm handling it. That is what you say when you don't want me scared. Are you scared? I am terrified. Maya's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Then I'll be honest. They are trying to move him before anyone can challenge the order. That note means Whitmore had already decided what he was going to do before we ever entered the courtroom. So the hearing was fake. Yes. And that sheriff knew. Yes. And that woman from the clerk's office knew too. Maya hesitated. She knew enough to be afraid. Ruth looked out the window. Lord, what kind of place is this? A county that got used to nobody asking questions. They drove 3 blocks to a diner near the courthouse. It was close enough for Maya to watch the main road, but far enough that Rusk could not stand over them. Inside, a waitress with gray hair and tired eyes led them to a booth without asking too many questions. Coffee? The waitress asked. Ruth nodded. Black, please, Maya said. Same. The waitress glanced at Ruth shaking hands and softened. You want pie, honey? Ruth almost said no, then stopped herself. Sweet potato, if you have it. We do. When the waitress left, Ruth leaned over the table. We cannot sit here eating pie while my son is locked up. We are not eating pie. You are getting sugar in your body before you faint. I am not fainting. Mama. Ruth went quiet. Maya placed the folder on the seat beside her, not on the table. She took out her phone and called the county jail. Ravenshade County Detention. This is Maya William. I'm calling about Elijah William. He was just remanded to disciplinary isolation by Judge Whitmore. I need his current status. A pause. Family inquiries are restricted. Restricted by whom? Court order. Signed when? Another pause. Ma'am, I can't provide that information. Is he still in the building? I can't provide that information. Has he been medically evaluated? I can't provide that information. Has he been transferred? I can't provide that information. Maya's voice dropped. What can you provide? The woman on the line lowered her voice. Ma'am, if you care about him, stop calling this number. Then the line went dead. Ruth stared at her. What did they say? Maya set the phone down. They confirmed the order is already moving. They said that? They said it by refusing to say anything else. The waitress returned with coffee and pie. Ruth looked at the plate like it belonged to someone else. Maya thanked the waitress. Ruth picked up the fork, set it down, then pressed both hands flat on the table. I should have stood up harder. No, I let that man push me down. You stayed alive and kept Elijah from seeing you dragged out. Ruth swallowed. That is a terrible kind of victory. It is still a victory. The diner door opened. Maya looked up. Lena Price stood just inside, clutching her purse. She scanned the diner once and came straight to the booth. Her face had the strained look of a woman who had walked too far across a line she could not uncross. I cannot stay, Lena said. Maya shifted to let her sit. Then talk fast. Lena slid into the booth, but kept her coat on. I shouldn't have come, but you did. Lena looked at Ruth. Mrs. William, I am sorry. Ruth's voice was tight. For what part? Lena flinched. All of it. Maya leaned forward. Who deleted the payment? Lena looked toward the windows. I can't say his name here. You already pointed toward the judge. That was stupid. It was honest. Honest gets people fired in that courthouse. Does honest get people transferred too? Lena closed her eyes. Maya's voice sharpened. Lena. The clerk opened her eyes. The payment was there yesterday. Ruth stopped breathing for a moment. Lena continued. I saw it. Case number matched. Amount matched. Receipt stamp matched. It was entered 8 days ago. Who removed it? Someone logged in under administrative override. Whitmore? Lena shook her head. The login belongs to the court administrator, but she was out sick yesterday. Everybody knows Judge Whitmore keeps access to every account. Can you prove that? Not with what I have. What do you have? Lena opened her purse and pulled out a second folded paper. Her hand trembled so badly the paper rattled against the table. Maya did not touch it yet. What is that? Printout of the edit log. I got it before they locked me out. Ruth whispered. They locked you out? This morning after court. Lena looked at Maya. Sheriff Rusk came to the clerk's office. He asked who had spoken to you. Nobody answered. Then Judge Whitmore called from chambers and told us all payment records in the William file were restricted. Maya took the printout. There it was. Elijah William. Payment entry. Deleted 1217A. M. Administrative override. Transfer draft created 842A. M. Before the hearing began, Maya folded the paper and placed it with the others. Lena grabbed her wrist. You can't show that to him. To Whitmore? To anyone in that building. Not yet. Why? Because they'll say I forged it. They'll fire me. They'll arrest me. And your brother will still be gone. Maya studied her. Is there more? Lena pulled her hand back. That was answer enough. What else? Maya asked. Lena looked at Ruth, then at the table. The transfer van is scheduled for 6:30. Ruth's fork slipped from her hand and hit the plate. Tonight? Maya asked. Lena nodded. Blackridge. Maya checked the time on her phone. They had less than 5 hours. Ruth reached across the table and grabbed Maya's hand. You have to stop it. I will. Lena shook her head. You can't stop Whitmore with a receipt. No, Maya said. But I can stop him with a pattern. Lana went pale. Maya leaned in. How many? I don't know. Yes, you do. Lena's eyes filled. Too many? Payment records? Fines. Fees. Missed dates. Bench warrants. Transfers. People who paid and still got locked up because the record changed after hours. Ruth whispered. Why would anybody do that? Lena looked ashamed. Because people pay again when they're scared. Families borrow money. Churches raise cash. Grandmothers bring envelopes. And if they can't pay, the jail gets them. Maya's face did not change, but her voice went colder. Who benefits? Lena wiped her eyes quickly. I don't have that proof. Yet. I said I don't have it. Maya waited. Lena reached into her purse one last time and pulled out a small silver flash drive. She kept it hidden under her palm. I can get it, Lena said. Not now. Not from the courthouse. The backup exports are stored off-site every night. Where? Lena shook her head. If I tell you and you get caught, I'm done. If you don't, Elijah may be gone by sundown. Lena looked at Ruth. Something in Ruth's face broke whatever defense she had left. There's an archive terminal in the county records annex, Lena said. Basement level. It mirrors the court system at midnight. It may still show the original payment before the deletion. Maya nodded. Can you access it? Yes. But not while Rusk is watching the courthouse. Then don't go back through the courthouse. Lena stared at her. You sound like you've done this before. Maya slid the papers back into her folder. Right now, I sound like a sister trying to keep her brother alive. Lena stood. If I help you, and Whitmore finds out, Maya cut in. He already knows someone helped me. The only question is whether you help enough to make it matter. Lena looked toward the door. A sheriff's cruiser rolled slowly past the diner window. Ruth stiffened. Maya did not. Lena whispered, That's Rusk. The cruiser kept moving, then turned at the corner. Maya stood. Mama, stay here. Ruth grabbed her arm. No, I need you safe. I need my son. Maya bent close. Then trust me for 1 hour. Ruth held her stare, then released her. Maya turned to Lena. Take me to the annex. Lena's voice shook. If we do this, there is no going back. Maya picked up the folder. They already took my brother, she said. Back was gone the moment that door closed. How much did you hear? Maya and Lena left the diner through the side door. Ruth stayed in the booth with the untouched pie in front of her, and Maya's promise still hanging between them. Trust me for 1 hour. Ruth had not liked it. Maya had seen that in her mother's eyes, but Ruth had let go of her hand, and that was the only permission Maya had time to accept. Lena walked fast, keeping her head down. The annex is 2 blocks over, Lena said. County records, tax deeds, old marriage licenses, court archives. Nobody pays attention to it unless they need a copy of something from 1974. Is there a camera? At the front desk. Back entrance. Employee door. Key card? Lena looked at her. You ask a lot of questions like you already know the answers. Maya did not respond. They crossed behind a pharmacy and moved along the service alley that ran behind the courthouse square. Lena kept glancing over her shoulder. If Rusk sees me with you, I'm finished. If Rusk sees you doing nothing, Elijah is finished. Lena swallowed and kept moving. The records annex sat behind the courthouse, connected to the county building by a covered walkway. Lena took a key from her purse, then stopped before putting it into the employee door. What? Maya asked. Lena pointed. A sheriff's cruiser sat half a block down with its engine running. Maya stepped back from the door. Is that normal? No. The cruiser's brake lights flashed once. Lena whispered. He knows. Not everything. He knows enough. Maya took the flash drive from Lena's hand and closed the woman's fingers around nothing. Go back to the diner. Lena stared at her. What? Go back to the diner. Sit with my mother. If anyone asks, you came to apologize and she wouldn't let you leave. I can't leave you with this. You already did the dangerous part. No, I didn't. The dangerous part is getting caught. Maya looked toward the cruiser. Then don't get caught with me. Lena shook her head. You can't get into the archive without my badge. Maya held out her hand. Lena stared at it. Miss Price, Maya said. You came this far because you knew what they were doing was wrong. Don't stop one locked door short. Lena pulled the badge from her purse and handed it over. If you lose that, I lose my job. If I lose this, your job won't be the biggest problem. Lena gave a nervous laugh that broke halfway through. That is not comforting. It wasn't meant to be. The cruiser door opened. Maya pushed Lena gently toward the alley. Go. Lena went. Maya slipped behind a dumpster near the service entrance, just as Sheriff Rusk stepped out of the cruiser. He stood there scanning the annex, then the alley, then the diner down the street. His phone was against his ear. Maya could not hear the other side, but she heard him. No, Judge, I don't see her right now. A pause. The mother is still at the diner. Price left the courthouse. Another pause. Yes, sir. If she tries to pull records, I'll handle it. Maya's grip tightened around the flash drive. Rusk hung up and walked toward the annex door. Maya slid deeper into the narrow space behind the dumpster. Rusk passed within 10 feet of her, boots heavy on the pavement. He tried the employee door. Locked. He looked through the small window, waited, then turned back toward the cruiser. Maya did not move until the cruiser pulled away. Then she moved fast. Lena's badge opened the employee door with one clean beep. Inside, the annex smelled of paper, toner, and old carpet. Maya did not waste time looking around. She found the stairwell, went down one level, and followed signs for archives and records access. The basement office had 3 desks, 2 file cabinets, and 1 computer still awake on the counter. Lena had told the truth. The terminal was logged into the archive mirror. Maya inserted the flash drive. The system loaded slowly. "Come on," she whispered. A folder opened. Court payment backups. She searched Elijah. William. The original file appeared within seconds. Payment received. Case number matched. Amount matched. Receipt stamp matched. Entered 8 days earlier. Then another file. Administrative override. Deleted at 12:17 a.m. Transfer order drafted before the morning hearing. Maya copied everything. A door opened upstairs. She stopped breathing. Footsteps crossed the floor above her. Then a male voice called, "Lena?" Not Rusk. Another deputy. Maya ejected the flash drive, slipped it into her pocket, and moved away from the terminal. The footsteps came closer to the stairwell. She looked once at the room. No window. 1 exit. No time. Her phone vibrated. "Brooks," she answered in a whisper. "Not now. Where are you?" "County Records Annex. Basement." A pause. "Are you alone?" "Not for long." "Maya, I have the original payment record, deletion log, and transfer draft. How did you get access?" "Later." The stairwell door opened. Maya lowered the phone but kept the call connected. A deputy stepped into the basement. Young. Nervous. Hand on his belt. He froze when he saw her. "You're not supposed to be down here." Maya held up Lena's badge. "Clerk's office sent me." "No, they didn't." "Then call them." He reached for his radio. Maya spoke before he keyed it. "Before you do that, ask yourself why Sheriff Rusk is watching an archive room, while Judge Whitmore is trying to transfer a defendant whose payment record was deleted after midnight." The deputy's hand paused. "What did you say?" "You heard me. I need you to come upstairs, and I need you to decide whether you want to be the man who helped bury a payment record or the man who stepped aside before federal people started asking questions." His face changed at the word federal. "Federal?" Maya let the silence answer. The phone was still open in her hand. Brooks's voice came through faintly. "Maya, status." The deputy heard it. His hand dropped from the radio. Maya lifted the phone back to her ear while keeping her eyes on him. "I'm walking out," Brooks said. "Do you have the data?" "Yes." "How much did you get?" "All of it." "No," Maya said quietly, stepping past the deputy toward the stairs. "How much did you hear?" Brooks answered without hesitation. "All of it." Maya climbed the stairs and pushed through the employee door into the alley. The cruiser was gone, but she knew it would not stay gone. She crossed fast toward the diner, the flash drive in her pocket, the folder under her arm, and the first real proof that Elijah's case had been rigged before he ever stood before the judge. Ruth stood when Maya entered. Lena was beside her, pale and shaking. Maya placed one hand on her mother's shoulder. "We have it," she said. Ruth searched her face. "Can we stop the transfer?" Maya looked through the diner window toward the courthouse. "Not yet," she said. "First, we let Judge Whitmore say out loud what he thought he could hide on paper. For the record." Maya returned to the courthouse with Ruth on one side and Lena Price 2 steps behind her. Lena had almost refused to come back. She had stood outside the diner with both hands wrapped around her purse, looking toward the courthouse like it was a house on fire. "If I walk back in there with you, he'll know," Lena had said. Maya had answered, "He already knows someone helped me. Right now, he just doesn't know how much. And if he asks me, say, as little as possible." Lena gave a bitter laugh. "That is what I've been doing for 12 years. "Then today," Maya said, "say just enough." Now they moved through the courthouse entrance together. A deputy near the front doors straightened when he saw them. His eyes went first to Maya's folder, then to Lena, then to the hallway leading toward Judge Whitmore's courtroom. Maya did not slow down. Ruth whispered, "They're looking at us. Let them." "Maya, they need to see us walk in." The deputy stepped into their path. "Court's in session." "I know," Maya said. Judge Whitmore said, "No disruptions." "Good. Then he'll appreciate that I'm here for the record." The deputy frowned. "You think that's funny?" "No. Maya held his gaze until he moved half a step aside. Not enough to welcome her, enough to avoid touching her. Inside the courtroom, Elijah was already there. He stood beside the counsel table with his wrists cuffed in front of him. His face tightened when he saw Maya, then softened when he saw Ruth. Rusk stood behind him, close enough to remind everyone who controlled the chains. Judge Whitmore sat on the bench with the file open in front of him. He did not look surprised to see Maya. He looked prepared. "Miss William," he said, "I thought you had learned your place." Maya walked to the front row, helped Ruth sit, then continued to the counsel table. She did not ask permission to stand there. "For the record, Your Honor," she said, "are you referring to my place as a citizen, as a sister, or as a black woman in your courtroom?" The words hit clean. Elijah's eyes widened. Rusk shifted behind him. Whitmore's face did not change right away, but his fingers pressed down on the file. "You are dangerously close to contempt," he said. "Let the record show." The court declined to answer the question. The gavel came down once. "You do not control the record." Maya opened her folder. "No, sir. I'm trying to preserve it." "You are not an attorney." "No. I'm a witness to what is happening in this room." Whitmore leaned back. "You have been warned repeatedly, and my brother has been punished repeatedly for a fine he paid. The court has no valid payment record." Maya removed the receipt and placed it flat on the table. "Then let the court review the receipt. I have already ruled on that. Let the record show the court is refusing to review proof of payment." Whitmore's eyes narrowed. "The record will show what I say it shows." Maya looked at him for one quiet second. "Thank you, Your Honor." Rusk's head turned slightly. He heard it. He did not understand it, but he heard the change in tone. Whitmore heard it too, and it irritated him more than defiance would have. "Do not thank me like you've won something," Whitmore said. "I haven't won anything. My brother is still in chains. Because of his conduct. Because of your order. Because he disrespected this court. By asking you to look at a receipt?" Whitmore closed the file. "Your brother raised his voice." Maya picked up the receipt. After the court ignored evidence, he interrupted proceedings. After the court refused to correct a deleted payment, Rusk barked, "Watch your mouth." Maya turned to him. "Let the record show, Sheriff Rusk." Interrupted. While I was addressing the court, Rusk took one step forward. "You don't get to put my name in your mouth." Maya did not move. "Then stop giving me reasons to say it," Elijah whispered. "Maya, don't." She heard him, but she kept her eyes on Rusk. Whitmore struck the gavel again. "Enough. Sheriff, control your prisoner." Rusk leaned toward Elijah and spoke loud enough for Maya to hear. "Keep your sister quiet, or isolation becomes transfer." Maya turned instantly to the bench. "Let the record show the sheriff just threatened the defendant during proceedings." Whitmore's jaw flexed. "Miss William, you are making accusations without standing." "I am repeating what he said." "You are not counsel." "No. I am the person who heard a sheriff threaten a restrained man in front of a judge who has not corrected him." Rusk's face flushed. "Judge, I can remove her right now," Maya said. "Let the record show Sheriff Rusk offered to remove a witness after she identified his threat." Whitmore stood halfway from his chair. "There will be no such record." "Then, say the threat did not happen." The courtroom went hard and still. Whitmore stared at Maya. Maya stared back. "Say it," she said. "Say Sheriff Rusk did not threaten Elijah William in open court." Whitmore's lips thinned. Rusk's hand dropped to Elijah's shoulder. Ruth stood. "Please, don't hurt him." Rusk snapped his head toward her. "Sit down." Maya's voice cut across his. "Do not speak to my mother." Whitmore pointed at Maya. "You are done giving orders in my courtroom. I am done watching your sheriff use my brother as leverage." Elijah raised his head. "Your Honor, I just want the receipt looked at. That's all." Whitmore turned on him. "You will speak when spoken to. He has a right to be heard," Maya said. "He has the rights this court affords him." Maya's answer came fast. "Rights are not gifts from a judge." Whitmore's face darkened. For the first time that day, Maya saw him fight for control. He wanted to shout. He wanted to order her taken away. But every word he chose now had weight, and some part of him had begun to feel it. She pressed harder. "Your Honor, I am asking one simple question. Will this court review a county-issued receipt before ordering Elijah William into disciplinary isolation and transfer?" "No." Maya let the answer sit. Then she said, "Let the record show the answer is no." Whitmore slammed his palm on the bench. "The answer is that this court will not be manipulated by some emotional girl who thinks waving paper around makes her important." Maya's voice stayed level. "Let the record show. The court is referring to a 29-year-old woman as an emotional girl after she asked for review of evidence." Rusk muttered, "You got a death wish." Maya looked at him. "Let the record show Sheriff Rusk just made another threat." Rusk lunged one step. Elijah moved before he could stop himself. "Leave her alone." Rusk grabbed Elijah by the chain between his cuffs and yanked him down hard enough to make Ruth cry out. Maya's folder snapped shut in her hand. Whitmore pointed the gavel. "Control him," Maya said. "No. Let the record show Sheriff Rusk escalated physical force after his threat was identified." Whitmore's voice dropped. "Miss William, you will not survive this county if you keep confusing courage with stupidity." Maya turned back to the bench. There it was. She did not smile. She did not flinch. She only said, "Let the record show Judge Calvin Whitmore just warned a citizen she may not survive this county after presenting proof of payment." Whitmore froze. For 1 second, the old rhythm of that courtroom broke. Maya picked up the receipt and slid it back into the folder. "Thank you, Your Honor," she said again. This time, even Elijah understood that she was not thanking him. She was collecting him. Whitmore sat down slowly. His voice changed. It became quiet, controlled, and more dangerous. "Bring Mrs. Price forward." Lena stiffened near the back wall. Maya turned just enough to see her. Whitmore's eyes stayed on Maya. "If Miss William wants to talk about records," he said, "then we will hear from the woman responsible for keeping them." Rusk smiled. Lena took one step forward, then another. Maya did not speak. The next mistake had to belong to Whitmore. Not an attorney. Lena Price walked toward the front of the courtroom like every step had to be approved by fear. Judge Whitmore watched her come. Sheriff Rusk watched Maya. Elijah stood between the deputies with his cuffs pulled tight against his wrists, breathing through pain but refusing to bend his head. Whitmore pointed to the space beside the clerk's table. "Mrs. Price, stand there." Lena stopped. "State your name for the court." "Lena Price." "Your position." "Court clerk for Ravenshade County." "How long have you held that position?" 12 years. Whitmore nodded as if he were pleased with the answer, as if her years in that building belonged to him. "Then you understand court records?" "Yes, Your Honor. You understand that this court operates on official records, not family stories." Lena swallowed. "Yes, Your Honor." Maya did not move. Whitmore lifted Elijah's file. "Is there a valid payment record in the system for Elijah William?" Lena looked at Maya for half a second. Whitmore snapped, "Look at me when you answer." Lena turned back to the bench. "Not anymore." The room went quiet in a different way. Maya stepped in immediately. "For the record, Mrs. Price." "Did you say not anymore?" Whitmore slammed the gavel. "She will not answer that." Maya looked up at him. "Let the record show the court prevented clarification of altered payment records." Whitmore's face tightened. "Miss William, you will not question my clerk." I asked her to repeat 2 words. "You are not an attorney." "No," Maya said. "I'm a witness to what is happening in this room." Whitmore leaned forward. "You are a disruptive family member with no standing." "I have standing as the person holding the receipt you refuse to review." "You have nothing." "Then why are you afraid of 2 words from your own clerk?" Rusk stepped toward Maya. "Judge, let me remove her." Maya turned to him. "Let the record show. Sheriff Rusk requested removal after the clerk confirmed the payment record no longer exists." Rusk's mouth curled. "You keep saying let the record show like that saves anybody." Maya's voice sharpened. "No, it saves the truth from men who keep trying to bury it." Whitmore stood. "Mrs. Price, you will return to your desk." Lena did not move. Whitmore's eyes narrowed. "Now." Lena took 1 step back. Maya said, "Mrs. Price, Before you sit down, did you personally see Elijah Williams' payment in the system before today? Whitmore exploded. She will not answer. Lena stopped walking. Rusk barked. Lena. That one word carried years of warning. Lena's shoulders tightened. Maya did not look at her. She kept her eyes on Whitmore. Let the record show both the court and the sheriff are preventing the clerk from answering whether the defendant's payment record was altered. Whitmore's voice dropped. You are finished. I have been told that several times today. This time, I mean it. Then say exactly why. The judge stared at her. Maya stepped closer to the counsel table. Am I finished because I asked for a receipt to be reviewed? Because I repeated Sheriff Rusk's threat? Because Mrs. Price said, not anymore? Or because you are losing control of what this room is allowed to hear? Ruth whispered. Maya did not turn around. Elias said, don't risk it. Maya heard him. She answered the judge anyway. Your Honor, I am asking one more time. Will this court review proof that Elijah William paid his fine before ordering disciplinary isolation? Whitmore's answer came flat. No. Will this court allow its clerk to explain why the record is gone? No. Will this court order Sheriff Rusk to stop threatening a restrained defendant? Rusk laughed under his breath. Whitmore said, Sheriff Rusk is maintaining order. Maya turned toward Rusk. Is that what you call it when you tell a man isolation becomes transfer, if his sister talks? Rusk took 2 steps toward Elijah and grabbed the chain between his cuffs. Elijah winced but stayed upright. Maya's eyes cut to the sheriff's hand. Let the record show Sheriff Rusk is applying force to the defendant while this court is being questioned about threats. Rusk yanked the chain. Elijah stumbled forward. Ruth stood. Stop it. Rusk looked at her. Sit down before I give him a reason to fall. Maya's voice hardened. Threatening his mother now? I'm advising her. You put hands on her once already. Maybe she learns slow. Maya faced the bench. Let the record show Sheriff Rusk referenced his prior physical contact with Ruth William as a warning. Whitmore pointed at Maya. If you say that phrase one more time, I will hold you in contempt. For documenting what your sheriff is doing? For disrupting proceedings. These proceedings are being used to punish a man before evidence is reviewed. These proceedings are being used to restore order. Order for whom? Whitmore's lips pressed together. Maya continued. Because from here, it looks like order means, my brother's silent, my mother's seated, your clerk scared, and your sheriff free to threaten anybody who asks for proof. Rusk released Elijah and moved toward Maya. Elijah strained forward. Don't touch her. Rusk turned back fast and shoved him hard in the shoulder. Elijah hit the edge of the counsel table and nearly dropped to one knee. Maya's voice cut through the impact. Let the record show Sheriff Rusk shoved a restrained defendant after the defendant objected to intimidation of a witness. Whitmore shouted, Enough! Maya answered just as loud. Then stop him. The judge froze. Maya stepped into the silence. You are the judge in this room. If the sheriff is acting outside the law, stop him. If he is acting under your authority, say that. Rusk looked up at the bench. Whitmore did not answer. Maya pressed again. Say it. Is Sheriff Rusk threatening Elijah William under your authority? Whitmore's hand closed around the gavel. Miss William, he said, each word sharp. You are a little girl playing with adult consequences. Maya did not blink. Let the record show the court is addressing a 29-year-old woman as a little girl after she asked whether a sheriff's threats were authorized by the bench. Ruth covered her mouth. Elijah stared at his sister like he was seeing the shape of the fight for the first time. Rusk muttered, You don't know when to quit. Maya turned to him. Men like you, count on that. Rusk stepped forward again. Whitmore raised one hand, stopping him. The judge sat back down, breathing hard through his nose. When he spoke, he forced his voice into something calmer, but the calm did not hold. Mrs. Price, he said, you are excused. Lena looked relieved for less than a second. Then Whitmore added, And you will remain in this building until I decide whether your employment here requires review. Lena went pale. Maya said, Let the record show the court just threatened the clerk's employment after she said the payment record no longer existed. The gavel struck. Contempt, Whitmore said. Maya stood still. Whitmore pointed at her. "Deputies, take Miss William into custody." Ruth cried out. "No." Elijah pulled against the deputies. "Maya." Two deputies started toward her. Maya closed her folder, held it firmly at her side, and spoke before they reached her. "Let the record show I am being arrested after asking whether court records were altered, whether the sheriff's threats were authorized, and whether the clerk was being intimidated." The deputies hesitated. Not long, but long enough. Rusk barked, "Move." They reached for Maya. Elijah surged forward. "Don't touch my sister." Rusk grabbed him from behind and drove his fist into Elijah's ribs. Elijah folded with a choked sound. Ruth screamed. Maya's whole body went still. Then she turned slowly toward the bench. Her voice was low now, sharper than a shout. "Let the record show the sheriff struck a restrained defendant in open court." Whitmore stared at her. The deputy's hands hovered inches from Maya's arms. Maya did not move. Outside that room, someone was listening. Inside it, Judge Calvin Whitmore had just given them one more piece. A little girl playing with adult consequences. The deputies froze with their hands almost on Maya. Elijah was doubled over between the two men holding him, fighting for air. Ruth was on her feet, one hand pressed to her chest, her eyes fixed on her son. Lena Price stood near the clerk's table with her mouth slightly open, as if she had just watched the last safe door in that courthouse close behind her. Maya did not move toward Elijah. She wanted to. Everyone who loved him could see that she wanted to. But Rusk was waiting for it. Whitmore was waiting for it. One rush forward, one hand on her brother. One moment they could call disorder, and they would drag her out before the next breath. So Maya stayed still and used the only weapon they had not taken from her, her voice. Let the record show Sheriff Dale Rusk punched Elijah William while Elijah was restrained and in the custody of this court. Judge Whitmore's face went red. There will be no record of that statement. Maya looked straight at him. Then the record will show the court refused to document violence committed in front of the bench. Rusk straightened, breathing hard. "Judge, let me put her in a holding cell." Whitmore lifted one hand. "Not yet." The words hit harder than a yes. Not yet meant later. Not yet meant he wanted something more from her before he locked the door. Maya turned her head just enough to see Elijah. "Can you breathe?" Elijah forced himself upright. "I'm okay." Rusk jerked the chain between his cuffs. "Nobody asked you." Maya's eyes cut back to Rusk. "Let the record show the sheriff continues to silence the defendant after striking him." Whitmore slammed the gavel. "Miss William, one more time, and I will hold you in contempt." "You already did. Then I will make it worse." Maya nodded once. "For me, or for Elijah?" The judge stared at her. She stepped closer to the counsel table. "Because that is the pattern in this room, Your Honor. I speak, he suffers. I present proof, he is punished. I ask a question. Your sheriff puts hands on my mother or my brother." Whitmore leaned forward. "You are a little girl, playing with adult consequences." Maya answered immediately. "Let the record show the court is addressing a 29-year-old woman as a little girl after she identified violence against a restrained defendant." "You keep saying that like it matters." "It does. Not here." Maya held his gaze. "That may be the first honest thing you've said today." Rusk took a step toward her. "You better watch yourself." Maya turned to him. "Let the record show." Sheriff Rusk warned a witness to watch herself after she described his assault. "I'm not warning you." "No, I'm telling you. That is worse." Whitmore pointed at Maya. "You do not get to turn every sentence into evidence." Maya said, "I don't have to turn it into anything. You keep handing it to me." The judge's nostrils flared. Ruth spoke from behind Maya, her voice shaking but clear. "Judge, please. My son needs a doctor." Whitmore did not look at her. "Sit down, Mrs. William." He was hit. He became disruptive. He was in handcuffs. Rusk turned toward Ruth. "Ma'am, I already told you once." Maya moved then, only one step, but it was enough to put herself between Rusk and her mother. "Speak to me," Maya said. "Not her." Rusk smiled. "You volunteering?" "I am warning you." Rusk laughed. "You?" Maya's voice stayed flat. "Yes." Whitmore's hand came down on the bench. Miss William, this court will not be threatened by you. Good, Maya said. Then it should have no problem reviewing evidence. The judge's eyes dropped to her folder. Maya saw it again. That quick glance, that instinctive pull toward the paper he claimed meant nothing. She placed the folder on the table and opened it. Rusk moved. Maya lifted one finger without looking at him. If he takes one more step toward that receipt, let the record show the sheriff is attempting to seize proof of payment after the court refused to review it. Rusk stopped. The stop was small, but it changed the room. Whitmore saw it. He did not like it. You think you can control my sheriff now? He asked. No. I think your sheriff is starting to understand that hands leave evidence. Rusk's smile died. Maya slid the receipt halfway out of the folder. Elijah William. Case number 18 to 4027. Payment entered 8 days before the warrant. Amount paid in full. County stamp. Clerk initials. If this paper is false, say that. Whitmore's jaw worked. Maya pushed harder. Say the receipt is false. The judge did not answer. Say the stamp is false. Silence. Say my brother did not pay. Whitmore's voice came low. This court has no valid record of payment. That is not what I asked. The gavel struck again. I do not answer to you. No, Maya said. But you will answer for what you do to him. Rusk barked. That's a threat. Maya looked at him. No, Sheriff. That is a sentence men in power confuse with a threat, because they are not used to consequences. Elijah gave the smallest breath, almost a laugh, then winced from the pain in his ribs. Rusk saw it and grabbed his shoulder. Maya's voice cracked like a whip. Take your hand off him. Whitmore stood. Miss William. Maya did not look away from Rusk. Take your hand off my brother. Rusk held on for another second just to prove he could. Then he released Elijah. Maya turned back to the judge. Thank you. Whitmore's eyes narrowed. Do not thank this court. I was not thanking the court. Rusk's face hardened. Whitmore pointed toward the clerk's table. Mrs. Price, return to your station. Lena moved quickly. No, Maya said. The single word stopped Lena in place. Whitmore's head snapped toward her. Excuse me? Maya kept her hand on the folder. Mrs. Price said not anymore, when asked about the payment record. Before Elijah is moved anywhere, she needs to clarify that statement. She needs to obey this court. Maya looked at Lena. Mrs. Price, did you see Elijah Williams' payment before it was deleted? Lena's eyes filled. Whitmore shouted. Do not answer, Maya said. Let the record show the court has now twice prevented the clerk from answering whether the defendant's payment record was altered. Whitmore's voice dropped to a dangerous quiet. You are trying to build something you cannot carry, Maya answered. No, you built it. I'm just naming the pieces. The judge stepped down from behind his bench. Ruth inhaled sharply. Elijah lifted his head. Even Rusk seemed surprised. Whitmore came to the edge of the platform and looked down at Maya from only a few feet away. You listened to me very carefully, he said. I have watched people like you come into my courtroom for 30 years. Angry sisters, crying mothers, boys in chains who swear the system got it wrong. You all think the same thing. You think if you talk long enough, loud enough, someone will save you. Maya closed the folder. Whitmore leaned closer. No one is coming. Maya's face did not change. Let the record show, she said. Judge Calvin Whitmore told the defendant's family that no one is coming after refusing to review proof of payment, silencing his clerk, and allowing his sheriff to assault him. Whitmore's mouth twitched. Maya added, and let the record show, I never raised my voice. The judge stared at her for a long second. Then he smiled. It was worse than anger. All right, he said. If you want this court to be clear, I will be clear. He turned toward the deputies. Elijah William remains in disciplinary isolation. He will be prepared for transfer tonight. And if Miss William opens her mouth again, I will add a recommendation that he be housed under maximum restriction until the state determines whether he is safe to place with the general population. Ruth covered her mouth. Elijah whispered. No, Maya asked. Because I spoke? Whitmore smiled wider. Because this court is done tolerating your family. Maya held still. Then she said, very softly. "Thank you, Your Honor." Whitmore's smile faltered. She picked up the folder. "For making that clear." Rusk looked from Maya to the judge. Whitmore seemed to realize too late that he had answered the wrong question. Before he could correct himself, Lena Price spoke from the clerk's table. Her voice trembled, but it carried. "Your Honor, may I be excused?" Whitmore turned slowly. "No." Lena swallowed. Maya saw the fear in her face, and beneath it, something else. Decision. The judge returned to the bench. "This matter will resume after a 15-minute recess. Sheriff, keep the defendant in custody. Mrs. Price, you remain in this courtroom. Miss William, if you are still in this building when we reconvene, I will have you arrested." Rusk pulled Elijah toward the side door. Maya did not chase them this time. She looked at Elijah once. He looked back, holding his ribs, trying to stand tall for Ruth. Then, the door closed again. The courtroom began to empty under Rusk's orders. But Lena did not move toward the clerk's office. She moved toward the side hall. Maya waited 3 seconds, then followed. Behind her, Judge Whitmore's voice cut through the room. "Miss William." She stopped. He said, "You are out of chances." Maya turned her head just enough to answer. "No, Judge," she said. "You are." Then she walked out before he could see where Lena had gone. Not anymore. Maya did not follow Lena too closely. That would have made them both obvious. She waited until Lena turned the corner near the women's restroom, then crossed the hall with Ruth behind her, moving just fast enough to look worried instead of deliberate. "Maya," Ruth whispered. "Where are we going?" "To get what Whitmore is afraid of." "I thought you already had it." "I have enough to know they lied. I need enough to stop them before 6:30. Ruth looked back toward the courtroom. "He said he would arrest you if you stayed. He said a lot of things. He meant that one." "So did I." Lena stood near the restroom door, pretending to search her purse. Her hands were shaking. When Maya reached her, Lena did not look up. "Don't stand here," Lena said. "There's a camera at the end of the hall. Then walk." Lena pushed open the restroom door. Maya followed. Ruth came in behind them and locked the door. The restroom was empty. Lena gripped the edge of the sink and bent forward like she was about to be sick. Maya gave her 3 seconds. "No more." "You said, 'Not any more in front of him,'" Maya said. "That means there was a record." Lena looked at her in the mirror. "You know there was. I need you to say it again." "I can't." "You already did. In there I made a mistake." "No. In there, you told the truth before fear caught up." Lena turned around. "You don't understand what he can do." Maya stepped closer. "Then tell me." Lena's voice broke low. "He can ruin my pension. He can tell people I stole records. He can have Rusk put my husband on a warrant over unpaid county taxes that were settled 5 years ago. He can make me look like the criminal." Ruth spoke then, quiet but firm. "My son is in chains, because that man already made him look like one." Lena looked at Ruth and lost the argument inside herself. She reached into her blouse pocket and pulled out a folded slip of paper. "This is not the USB. I don't keep that on me." Maya took the paper. "What is it?" "Access time. Archive terminal. Backup log. The file you copied from the annex proves the payment was there. But this shows who locked the file after deletion." Maya unfolded it. There was a username, a timestamp, and a note entered under case control. "Transfer classification prepared per Chambers." Maya's eyes lifted. "Per Chambers." Lena nodded. "That means the judge. Can anyone else enter that note?" "No. Not under that field." "Can Rusk?" "No. He can request transport, but Chambers approves classification." Maya folded the paper. "This connects Whitmore to the transfer." "Yes. And the payment deletion?" Lena hesitated. Maya waited. Lena lowered her voice. "There's a full audit export. It shows the payment, the deletion, the override, and the Chambers note in sequence. I pulled it after you left the annex." "You have it." Lena nodded once. "Where?" Lena looked at the restroom door. "Not here." Maya's face hardened. "Lena, I had to hide it." "Where?" "In the copy room." Ruth closed her eyes. "Lord." Maya moved toward the door. "Show me." Lena grabbed her arm. Wait. Rusk put a deputy outside the clerk's office. If I go in there now, he'll know. Then I'll go. You can't. Staff only. Maya looked at her. You still have your badge? Lena looked ashamed. No. You gave it back at the diner. Maya had given it back. She had needed Lena to appear normal when they returned. Ruth stepped forward. Can I get it? Both women turned to her. Ruth lifted her chin. Her hands were still trembling, but her voice was steady now. I'm an old woman whose son just got dragged away. Nobody expects me to do anything except cry. Maya shook her head. Mama, no. Ruth looked at her daughter. You told me to stay steady. This is me steady. Lena's eyes filled again. The copy room is behind the clerk's counter. A deputy is watching the hallway, not the staff door. If I distract him, Mrs. William could slip through only if someone buzzes her in. Who can buzz her in? Maya asked. Lena swallowed. I can. Maya looked at Ruth. No hero moves. You walk in, take what Lena tells you to take. Walk out. Ruth gave her a tired look. I raised 2 children on night shifts and late buses. I know how to walk without making a scene. They left the restroom separately. Lena went first. Maya waited 10 seconds, then guided Ruth to the hallway bench near the clerk's office. A deputy stood there with his arms folded. Lena approached him with a stack of papers she had taken from a side table. Deputy Harris, Judge Whitmore wants the intake list from this morning. The deputy frowned. I was told nobody goes in. I'm not nobody. I work here. He said you stay visible. Lena let fear show. It helped. Then come watch me pull it. I don't want trouble. The deputy hesitated, then stepped toward her. Maya lowered her voice. Now. Ruth stood slowly, one hand pressed to her back like the movement hurt. She walked toward the clerk's counter, not fast, not suspicious, just weary. Lena buzzed the side door as she argued with Deputy Harris about the intake list. Ruth slipped inside. Maya's heart did not show on her face. From where she stood, she could see the copy room door. Ruth entered it and disappeared. Deputy Harris turned his head. Maya stepped into his line of sight. Deputy, she said, is my brother still in this building? He looked irritated. Ma'am, don't start. I asked a simple question. You people don't know what simple means. Maya's eyes sharpened. You people? Lena froze. The deputy realized he had said too much. I mean family members. Maya took a step closer. Then, say family members. He looked past her toward the clerk's counter. Maya shifted with him. Is Elijah Williams still in this building? I can't discuss transport. So there is transport. I didn't say that. You just did. Behind the counter, Ruth emerged from the copy room with one hand tucked inside her purse. Maya kept the deputy's eyes on her. What time is the van leaving? She asked. I said I can't discuss. 6:30? His jaw tightened. Maya nodded. Thank you. Ruth slipped back through the side door just as Lena dropped the papers. They scattered across the floor. Oh, for heaven's sake, Lena said, bending quickly. Deputy Harris cursed under his breath and helped her gather them. Ruth returned to the bench. Maya sat beside her. Ruth did not look at her. She opened her purse just enough for Maya to see a small black flash drive wrapped in a tissue. Maya covered her mother's hand. Good, she whispered. Ruth's eyes stayed forward. I told you. I know how to walk. Maya almost smiled. Then the courtroom doors opened. Sheriff Rusk stepped into the hallway. He looked first at Lena, then at Deputy Harris, then at Maya and Ruth sitting too calmly on the bench. His eyes dropped to Ruth's purse. Mrs. William, he said, walking toward them. Stand up. Maya rose before Ruth could move. Why? Rusk smiled. Because Judge Whitmore wants that family removed from the building. Maya held his stare. On what order? Mine. That's not a court order. Rusk leaned close. It will be in 30 seconds. Lena's face went white. Rusk reached toward Ruth's purse. Maya caught his wrist. The hallway went silent. Rusk looked down at her hand, then up at her face. You just put hands on a sheriff. Maya released him slowly. No, she said. I stopped a sheriff from searching an old woman's purse without cause. Rusk's smile vanished. From the courtroom, Whitmore's voice boomed. Sheriff! Rusk stepped back. but his eyes stayed on Maya. "This isn't over," Maya said. "No, it's finally starting." Rusk returned to the courtroom. Maya sat down beside Ruth. Without looking, Ruth slid the flash drive into Maya's folder. Lena walked past them and whispered one sentence without stopping. "That drive has everything." Maya did not open the folder. She did not need to. For the first time, Whitmore's secret was not just on paper. It was in Maya's hands. Contempt. Maya kept the folder closed on her lap. The flash drive sat inside, wrapped in tissue beside Elijah's receipt, Lena's note, and the printouts from the annex. Ruth's hand rested over Maya's for a moment, then withdrew before Rusk could see the gesture and turn it into another excuse. The courtroom doors opened again. "Miss William," a deputy said. "Judge wants you back inside." Maya stood. "My mother stays with me." The deputy looked at Ruth, then toward the courtroom. "Fine. But one more disruption and you're both out." Ruth rose slowly. "I have heard that before today." Maya gave her mother one quick look. Ruth's voice had changed. Fear was still there, but it no longer owned the whole room inside her. They entered together. Elijah was back at the front, still cuffed, one arm held close to his ribs. Maya saw the way he stood and knew Rusk's punch had done damage. She also saw Rusk standing too close behind him, waiting for Maya to react. She did not give him the pleasure. Judge Whitmore sat high on the bench, but the color had changed in his face. He had been told something. Maybe about Lena. Maybe about Ruth. Maybe just that the day was no longer moving the way he wanted. He looked at Maya's folder. "Miss William," he said, "you were instructed to leave this building. No written order was provided. This court does not require your approval to control its own proceedings." "I didn't say it did." "Then why are you still here?" Maya moved to the counsel table. "Because my brother is still here." Whitmore's jaw tightened. "Not for long." Ruth inhaled sharply. Maya looked up. "Let the record show the court has again referenced the defendant's removal before reviewing evidence of payment." Whitmore slammed the gavel. "There will be no more of that phrase." "Then stop giving me reasons to say it." Rusk took a step forward. "Judge, enough. Let me take her." Whitmore raised his hand. "I will handle Miss William." Maya turned slightly toward Rusk. "Let the record show Sheriff Rusk requested permission to seize me after trying to search my mother's purse in the hallway." "That's a lie," Rusk snapped. Maya looked at him. "Then deny you reached for it." Rusk's mouth opened, then closed. Whitmore said, "Sheriff Rusk was maintaining courthouse security by searching a woman who had not been accused of anything, by preventing further interference." "Interference with what, Your Honor? The evidence? The transfer? Or the deletion log?" Whitmore went still. It was quick, but Maya caught it. So did Lena, sitting at the clerk's station with both hands pressed flat to the desk. Rusk saw Lena's face and turned on her. "What did you tell her?" Lena said nothing. Rusk moved toward her. Maya's voice cut across the room. "Let the record show Sheriff Rusk is approaching the clerk after asking what she told me." Whitmore snapped. "Sheriff, stand down." Rusk stopped, furious. For the first time all morning, the judge had restrained him. Maya let that hang. Then she opened the folder. Whitmore's eyes locked on it. "Close that," he said. Maya removed only the receipt. "This is the document Elijah tried to present. We are past that." "No. You are trying to move past it," Rusk muttered. "You just don't know when to stop." Maya looked at him. "That is why Elijah is still alive." Rusk lunged half a step before checking himself. Whitmore saw it and struck the gavel. "Miss William, this court finds you in contempt." Maya placed the receipt flat on the table. "Let the record show I am being held in contempt after presenting proof of payment." "Deputies," Whitmore said, "take her into custody." Ruth stepped forward. "No." Maya did not turn. "Mama, sit down. I will not watch them take both my children." "Mama." Ruth looked at Elijah. Elijah shook his head, barely. Ruth sat, but her hands gripped the bench so hard her knuckles turned pale. Two deputies approached Maya. She kept both hands visible on the table. "I am not resisting," she said. "Let the record show I am not resisting." Whitmore's voice rose. I said no more of that, Maya continued, calm and clear. Let the record show the court ordered my arrest after refusing to review a county-issued receipt, silencing the clerk, allowing the sheriff to threaten my family, and ordering Elijah William transferred before the deletion of his payment record could be examined. One deputy reached for her arm. Elijah surged forward. Don't touch my sister. Rusk moved faster than anyone else. He grabbed Elijah from behind and drove his fist into Elijah's side, harder than before. Elijah cried out and folded. Ruth screamed his name. Maya's head turned slowly. Rusk held Elijah up by the chain. Control your mouth, he said to Elijah, or I'll control your lungs. Maya's voice dropped into something cold enough to stop one of the deputies mid-motion. Let the record show Sheriff Dale Rusk struck a restrained defendant for objecting to the arrest of his sister. Whitmore stood. Remove her now. The deputy grabbed Maya's arm. She looked at his hand, then at his face. He was young, not cruel yet, just scared enough to obey. Deputy, Maya said quietly, think very carefully about whether you want your name in this moment. His grip loosened. Rusk shouted, do your job. The deputy swallowed and pulled Maya back half a step. Elijah coughed, trying to breathe. Ruth stood again despite everything. He needs a doctor. Whitmore pointed at her. Mrs. William, if you stand again, you will be removed. My son needs a doctor. Your son needs discipline. Maya said, let the record show the court denied medical attention after the sheriff struck the defendant twice. Whitmore's voice shook with rage. You are done. No, Maya said. You are almost there. The judge froze. What does that mean? Maya held his eyes. It means men like you always need one final act before the truth has enough shape. Rusk sneered. You hear this, Judge? She's threatening the court again. Maya looked at Rusk. You have mistaken documentation for a threat all day. Whitmore leaned over the bench. Miss William, this court will add obstruction, disorderly conduct, and interference with lawful custody to your contempt finding. For asking about a deleted payment? For interfering with transfer. So the transfer is the priority. The transfer is necessary because your brother is disruptive. He was in chains when your sheriff hit him. He became disruptive because of you. Maya seized the line. Let the record show the court states. Elijah Williams' punishment is connected to my conduct. Whitmore realized it as soon as he said it. His lips parted. Rusk looked at him. Lena closed her eyes. Maya took one step forward, pulling slightly against the deputy's hand. Thank you, Your Honor, Whitmore shouted. Get her out. The deputy began to pull Maya toward the aisle. Ruth moved toward her. Another deputy blocked Ruth. Elijah lifted his head with visible effort. Maya, don't let them take me tonight. Maya stopped walking. The deputy tugged her arm. She did not resist. She simply turned her head toward the bench. Judge Whitmore, she said, are you ordering Elijah William transferred tonight because I challenged the missing payment record? Whitmore's chest rose and fell. Rusk said, Judge, don't answer that. Maya looked at Rusk. Interesting. Whitmore's pride overruled the warning. I am ordering transfer because this court will not be held hostage by your family's behavior. Maya answered at once. Let the record show the court confirms the transfer is punishment for the family's conduct. Whitmore pointed toward the side door. Take the boy to isolation. Prepare him for transport. Ruth cried. No. Rusk jerked Elijah upright. You heard him. Elijah stumbled as the deputies forced him toward the side door. Maya was still held by the deputy in the aisle. She did not fight him. She only raised her voice enough for every official in that room to hear. Otis 9. Another matter. Elijah William paid his fine. The payment was deleted after midnight. The transfer was prepared before this hearing. The judge has refused to review proof. The sheriff has assaulted him twice. And now this court is moving him before the record can be challenged. Whitmore's face twisted. Remove her. The deputy pulled Maya toward the doors. As she passed the clerk's table, Lena's hand moved under a stack of files. For one heartbeat, the two women's eyes met. Lena tapped the desk twice. Not fear. Signal. Maya understood. The flash drive was not the only copy anymore. Whitmore had thought he was clearing the room. He had not noticed that his own clerk had started making records he could not control. The USB. The deputy dragged Maya into the hallway, but he did not take her far. He stopped beside the bench near the clerk's office, still holding her arm, still trying to look like he believed in what he was doing. His grip had gone weak. Maya looked down at his hand. "You can let go now," he swallowed. "I was ordered to detain you. Then detain me without bruising my arm." He released her. From inside the courtroom, Whitmore's voice carried through the doors. "Prepare the defendant for transfer." Ruth came out next, blocked by another deputy who held both palms up as if he were calming traffic. "Ma'am, you need to wait here. My son is hurt. He is being handled." Ruth slapped his hand away. "He is not a package." The deputy stepped back, startled. Maya moved to her mother. "Mama." Ruth turned on her. "Don't you mama me." "They hit him twice." "Twice, Maya. I saw. And you let them take him." Maya took that blow without defending herself. "I had to. No mother wants to hear that." "I know." Ruth stared at her, furious and terrified. Then her voice dropped. "Tell me there is a reason." Maya looked toward the courtroom doors. "There is." Before Ruth could ask, Lena Price came out carrying a stack of files against her chest. She did not look at Maya. She walked straight past them toward the copy room. The deputy near Maya said, "Mrs. Price." Judge said, "You stay visible." Lena stopped and lifted the stack. He also said he wanted the transfer packet completed before transport, unless you want to explain to him why it isn't. The deputy looked uncertain. Lena added, "Go ask him if you want. I will wait right here while you interrupt him." The deputy did not move. Lena continued toward the copy room. Maya followed 2 steps behind. The deputy snapped, "Miss William, where are you going?" Maya did not turn. "To watch the paperwork that is sending my brother away." "You can't go back there." Lena stopped at the copy room door. "She can stand outside. Family has the right to receive transfer notice." The deputy frowned. "Since when?" Lena's voice hardened. "Since Judge Whitmore ordered it entered. Unless you want the packet defective." That word worked. Defective. No one in that courthouse wanted to hand Whitmore defective paperwork. The deputy stayed where he was. Maya stood outside the copy room while Lena went in. Ruth came close, breathing hard. Inside, the copier started. Once, twice, 3 times. Maya heard paper slide through the machine. Lena spoke without looking up. "Close the door halfway." Maya did. Lena kept copying. "I made another set." "I know. You saw the signal?" "Yes." "My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the files." "You didn't." Lena pulled a small envelope from between 2 folders and slid it toward the edge of the counter. Maya took it and passed it to Ruth without looking down. Ruth tucked it into her purse. Lena whispered, "That envelope has the transfer packet, the original payment record, the deletion log, and the chamber's note. I printed 2. 1 for you. 1 is already in outgoing mail." Maya's eyes lifted. "To who?" Lena swallowed. "A reporter I trust in Atlanta. If I disappear, it leaves the building." Maya studied her. "That was brave. That was late. Late still counts." The copier stopped. Lena opened another folder. "There's more." Maya stepped closer. "What?" "The USB from your mother has the full audit export. But there is a second directory. I copied it before Rusk locked the terminal." "What's in it?" "Transport history. Not just Elijah. Other defendants moved after disputed payment claims." "Maya," Ruth whispered. "Other families." Maya kept her eyes on Lena. "How many?" Lena's face tightened. "Enough that this was not a mistake." Maya nodded once. "We don't chase those today. Today we stop Elijah's transfer." "I know." Lena pulled out a single page. "This is the one you need." She handed it to Maya. Maya, read fast. "Transport request. Elijah. William. Destination. Black Ridge Correctional Unit. Classification. Disciplinary isolation. Requesting authority. Sheriff Dale Rusk. Judicial approval. Chambers. Judge Calvin Whitmore. Drafted. 842A. Before the hearing. Before Maya spoke. Before Elijah was accused of further contempt. Maya folded the page. This is enough to show the decision was made before the record. Lena shook her head. It is enough to show the decision was made before the performance. The word hung there. Performance. That was exactly what the hearing had been. A staged path to a locked van. The courtroom doors opened again. Rusk stepped out, dragging Elijah with one hand gripping the chain between his cuffs. Elijah's face was tight with pain, but he stayed on his feet. Ruth moved toward him. Elijah. Rusk pointed at her. Stay back. Maya left the copy room doorway. He needs medical attention. He needs transport. He was struck twice. He resisted. He was cuffed. Rusk leaned toward her. You want to join him? Maya held up the transfer page. This was drafted before court began. Rusk's eyes dropped to the paper. There it was again. Recognition, Maya said. You knew he was going to Blackridge before Judge Whitmore pretended to make the decision. Rusk looked toward Lena. Lena went pale. Maya stepped into his line of sight. Look at me, Sheriff. Not her. Rusk's voice lowered. You have no idea how much trouble you just made. For you? For him. Rusk yanked Elijah forward. Elijah grimaced. Maya's voice sharpened. Let the record show. Rusk cut her off. There is no record out here. Maya took one step closer. You sure about that? Rusk froze. It was not enough to tell him anything. Just enough to make him wonder. He grabbed the paper from Maya's hand. Ruth gasped. Maya let him take it. Rusk looked surprised by that. He had expected resistance. Maya said, That is a copy. His jaw hardened. Lena spoke, too quickly. Sheriff, the judge needs the packet complete if the transfer is happening. Rusk turned on her. You got real talkative today. Lena dropped her eyes. Maya said, She is doing her job. No, Rusk said. She is forgetting who signs her checks. Maya's voice was clear. Let the record show. Sheriff Rusk threatened the court clerk's employment after she produced transfer paperwork. Rusk took one step toward her. Elijah pulled against the deputies. Leave her alone. Rusk spun and raised his hand. Maya moved first. She stepped between Rusk and Elijah, not touching either man, but close enough to force Rusk to stop or hit her in full view of the hallway. Rusk's hand stayed in the air. Maya looked at it. Go ahead, she said. The hallway went silent. Rusk lowered his hand slowly, but his face had changed. He was no longer performing control. He was fighting panic with anger. Whitmore's voice rang out from the courtroom. Sheriff. Rusk grabbed Elijah again. Move. The deputies pulled Elijah toward the secured corridor. Maya followed. Rusk turned. I told you. Family stops here. Maya looked past him at the door. Not anymore. The phrase struck him, maybe because Lena had said it first, maybe because it sounded like something breaking. Rusk shoved Elijah through the corridor door. Before it closed, Elijah looked back at Maya. Maya, he said, voice strained. 6:30. I know. The door closed. Ruth pressed both hands against her mouth. Maya turned to Lena. How much time? Lena checked the wall clock. 41 minutes. Maya pulled out her phone. Ruth grabbed her wrist. Who are you calling? Maya looked down the hallway to make sure Rusk was gone. Then she dialed. The call connected on the second ring. Brooks answered. Talk to me, Maya said. We have the USB. Transfer packet. Deletion log. Chambers note. Rusk just seized one copy and threatened Lena in the hallway. Elijah is being moved to transport in 41 minutes. Brooks's voice changed. Are you safe? No. Is your mother safe? For now. Elijah, still inside. Injured. They're moving him. A pause. Short. Heavy. Then Brooks said, Maya, listen carefully. We move when Whitmore confirms the transfer on the record. We need him tied to the obstruction, not just Rusk. He already confirmed punishment was connected to family conduct. We heard. Maya closed her eyes for 1 second. How much? All of it. She opened them. Ruth stared at her. Lena starred too. Maya said into the phone. Then get ready. I'm going back in. Brooks said. Do not let them take him through the exterior door. I won't. How? Maya looked at the courtroom entrance, then at the folder in her hand. then at the woman who had raised her and the clerk who had finally stopped being afraid. "I'm going to make the judge say it out loud." She ended the call before Brooks could answer. Ruth whispered, "Maya." "Who was that?" Maya slid the phone into her pocket. "Someone who can make the room listen," she said. Then she walked back toward Judge Whitmore's courtroom with the USB hidden, the copies moving beyond his reach, and less than 40 minutes before Elijah disappeared into a van. Before the sister finds counsel, Maya reached the courtroom doors just as Sheriff Rusk came out again. He had expected Ruth, maybe Lena, maybe a deputy with paperwork. He had not expected Maya walking straight toward him. Rusk blocked the entrance. "You don't learn, do you?" Maya stopped one step away. "I learn fast. Then learn this. You are not going back in there." "On whose order?" "Mine." That didn't work in the hallway. His eyes narrowed. "You think that phone call scared me? I think you noticed it." Rusk leaned close. "I noticed a woman running out of time." Maya held his stare. "Then move." Rusk gave a short laugh. "No. Behind Maya." Ruth spoke. "Let her in." Rusk looked over Maya's shoulder. "Mrs. William, you should be thinking about your son, not cheering on your daughter's mouth." Ruth stepped forward, slower than Maya but no less direct. "I am thinking about my son." Rusk's jaw tightened. He looked from Ruth to Lena, then back to Maya. "Judge says the hearing is closed." Maya's voice was calm. "He cannot close a hearing that determines immediate transfer without entering a written order." "You a lawyer now?" "No. I listened when people who knew the law tried to bury my brother under it." Rusk reached for the door handle and pulled it shut behind him. "The answer is no." Maya raised her voice, not shouting, but clear enough for the deputies down the hall to hear. "Sheriff Rusk is denying family access to an active transfer hearing without producing a written order." Rusk moved fast. He grabbed her upper arm. Ruth cried, "Don't you touch her." Maya looked down at his hand, then back at him. "That is the third time today. You have put hands on a member of my family." Rusk's fingers tightened. "And somehow you still keep talking." Lena stepped forward before fear could stop her. "Sheriff, the judge needs Miss William inside." Rusk turned on her. "Don't lie to me." Lena held out a file. "The packet is defective without family notification on the record. If she isn't in the room, the transfer can be challenged." Rusk stared at the file. Lena added, "Do you want to explain that to Judge Whitmore after Blackridge refuses intake?" That worked better than courage. Rusk released Maya and snatched the file from Lena's hand. He opened it, pretending to understand what he was reading. Maya knew he was searching for authority he did not have. Finally, he shoved the file back at Lena and pushed open the courtroom door. "Fine," he said. "You want to watch?" "Watch." Maya entered first. Elijah was not at the counsel table anymore. For one sharp second, Ruth's breath caught behind her. Then Maya saw him near the side door, seated in a hard chair, wrists cuffed, ankles shackled, a deputy standing on either side of him. His face was pale, one hand pressed against his ribs as much as the cuffs allowed. Judge Whitmore looked down from the bench with open disgust. "You were instructed to leave." Maya walked to the front. Sheriff Rusk barred entry to the hearing. Mrs. Price advised him that family notification is required before transfer. "I am here for that notice." Whitmore's eyes cut to Lena. Lena lowered her head but stayed standing. "Mrs. Price," he said, "after this hearing, you and I will discuss your future in this courthouse." Maya answered, before Lena could. "Let the record show the court threatened the clerk's employment after she identified a procedural defect." The gavel hit. "No more." Maya stopped at the counsel table. "Then, review the receipt." Whitmore stood. "This matter is not about a receipt. It was this morning. This matter is about conduct." "Whose?" The judge stared at her. Maya placed both palms flat on the table. "Elijah William is in cuffs because the system said he did not pay. We produced proof that he did. Then the explanation changed. He was disrespectful, then disruptive, then dangerous. Now you say this is about conduct. So say whose conduct? Put him in isolation." Whitmore's voice was low. "Your family has interfered with lawful proceedings from the moment this case was called." Maya nodded. "So the transfer is because of my family." The transfer is because the court will not allow itself to be manipulated. By evidence? By behavior. By whose behavior? Whitmore pointed at Elijah. His. Elijah lifted his head. I asked you to look at a receipt. Silence. Maya said, let him answer. He is not being questioned by you. He is the defendant. He is a prisoner. He is a citizen. Whitmore leaned forward. Not in my custody. Maya caught it. Let the record show the court referred to the defendant as being in its custody. Whitmore's face changed. Rusk stepped in fast. Judge, we're wasting time. Maya turned. Because the van leaves at 6:30? Rusk did not answer. Whitmore looked at him. Sheriff? Rusk's silence confirmed enough. Maya looked back at the bench. The transfer was drafted before this hearing. Before my brother was called disruptive. Before the court claimed contempt. Before you heard any argument. That is false. Maya opened her folder. Whitmore snapped. Do not. She removed the copy Lena had given her. Not the flash drive. Not the original receipt. Just the page she could afford to lose. Transfer request. Elijah William. Black Ridge Correctional Unit. Classification. Disciplinary isolation. Drafted 8:42 a.m. Approved by Chambers. Rusk started toward her. Maya lifted the paper higher. If he takes this from me, let the record show the sheriff seized evidence of a pre-drafted transfer order. Rusk stopped. Whitmore said, that document is court property. This is a copy. Then it is an unauthorized copy. So it is real. Whitmore's mouth closed. Maya let the silence hold for one beat. Thank you, Your Honor, Ruth whispered. Lord. Elijah's eyes stayed on Maya. Whitmore sat slowly. His voice came quieter now. Miss William, you have no idea what you are doing. I know exactly what I am doing. You are interfering with a transfer order. I am exposing one. You are obstructing this court. I am asking this court to explain why a transfer was prepared before the hearing that supposedly justified it. Whitmore turned to Rusk. Sheriff, prepare the defendant. Rusk moved to Elijah. Ruth took one step forward. No. Maya raised a hand without looking back. Ruth stopped. Elijah stood as the deputies pulled him up. The ankle chain rattled once. Maya spoke clearly. Your Honor, before Elijah William is removed, I am asking the court to answer 3 questions. Did you know his payment record had been deleted after midnight? Did you approve transfer before this hearing began? Are you moving him now to prevent that record from being challenged? Whitmore's face hardened. I will not be interrogated in my own courtroom. Then deny all 3. Rusk grabbed Elijah's arm. Maya raised her voice. Deny them. Whitmore struck the gavel. This court denies your right to ask. That is not the same thing. Rusk pulled Elijah toward the door. Lena's voice suddenly rang from the clerk's table. Your Honor, the transfer entry is incomplete without judicial confirmation on the record. Everyone turned. Whitmore looked at her like he could burn her where she stood. What did you say? Lena's hands shook, but she kept going. For Black Ridge intake, they require the judge to confirm immediate transfer if the order is same-day disciplinary isolation. Rusk stared at Lena. Since when? Lena looked at him. Since their last liability review. Maya did not know if that was true. It did not matter. Whitmore believed it might be. He exhaled through his nose. Fine. Maya's pulse did not show. Whitmore lifted the file. This court confirms the immediate transfer of Elijah William to Black Ridge Correctional Unit under disciplinary isolation. Maya asked. Before reviewing proof of payment? Whitmore ignored her. Transport is authorized. Before allowing the clerk to clarify the deleted record, transport is authorized. Before providing medical attention after the sheriff struck him? Whitmore's eyes snapped to her. Transport is authorized because this court is done allowing your family to turn a lawful proceeding into a circus. Maya leaned forward. So, again, the transfer is punishment for the family. Whitmore stood. The transfer is punishment for interference. Interference from evidence? His voice cracked with anger. Interference from you. The room stopped. Maya did not move. Rusk whispered, Judge, too late. Maya's answer was quiet. Let the record show. The court confirmed Elijah. Williams' transfer is punishment for Maya Williams' interference. Whitmore pointed at the side door. Remove him now. Rusk jerked Elijah forward. Elijah stumbled. Ruth cried out. Lena lowered her eyes to the clerk's terminal and touched one key. Maya saw it. A save command. Then a second. Print. Somewhere behind the clerk's desk, a printer began to hum. Whitmore heard it too. He turned slowly toward Lena. What are you printing? Lena's voice trembled. The record. Your Honor. Rusk left Elijah with the deputies and started toward her. Maya stepped in his way. You touch her, Maya said. And that becomes the next line. Rusk leaned close. You won't get another line, Whitmore snapped. Sheriff, get the boy out. Rusk turned back and grabbed Elijah. Maya looked at the clock. 32 minutes to 6:30. The trap was tightening, but Elijah was still in their hands, and Whitmore had just said enough to make the next phase unavoidable. Transfer him now. Rusk pulled Elijah toward the side door. The deputies moved with him, one on each side, keeping Elijah's arms pinned even though his wrists were already cuffed and his ankles were chained. Elijah tried to keep his balance, but every step pulled pain through his ribs. Ruth saw it and started forward again. Maya caught her wrist. Not yet, Maya said. Ruth stared at her. He can barely stand. I know. Then stop them. Maya did not take her eyes off Whitmore. I am. Whitmore heard that and gave a cold smile. No, Miss William. You are finished. He looked at the clerk's desk. The printer was still running. Mrs. Price, he said. Stop that printer. Lena did not move. Whitmore's smile disappeared. I gave you an order. Lena looked down at the printed pages gathering in the tray. Yes, Your Honor. Then obey it. Maya spoke before Lena could answer. Let the record show the court ordered the clerk to stop printing the transfer confirmation after the judge stated the transfer was punishment for my interference. Whitmore slammed the gavel. There is no record. The printer kept running. Rusk turned. Judge, let me handle the clerk. Maya stepped toward the bench. No. Let the judge say what he wants handled. Whitmore glared at her. You do not question this court. You already answered the important part. I answered nothing. You said Elijah's transfer was punishment for my interference. I said this court would not tolerate interference. From me. Whitmore froze. Maya nodded. Those were your words. Rusk yanked Elijah another step. We're done. Maya turned fast. Sheriff, if you take him through that door before medical evaluation, before family notice, and before review of the deleted payment record, you are carrying out an unlawful transfer. Rusk laughed. You still think saying things makes them real? No, Maya said. I think hearing you answer makes them real. She looked back to Whitmore. Your Honor, is Sheriff Rusk authorized to remove Elijah William right now despite the court having received proof that his payment was deleted? Whitmore said nothing. Maya raised her voice. Is he authorized? Whitmore's hand tightened around the gavel. Rusk snapped. Judge, don't play with her. Maya did not look away. Answer the question for your sheriff. Whitmore stood. Yes. Sheriff Rusk is authorized to remove the defendant immediately. Before reviewing the receipt? Yes. Before questioning Mrs. Price about the deleted payment? Yes. Before giving Elijah medical attention after Sheriff Rusk struck him? Whitmore's face flushed. Yes. Ruth cried. God help us. Maya's voice went lower. And you would do it again? Whitmore leaned over the bench, his control breaking at last. Yes, Miss William. I would do it again. I would do it 100 times, if that is what it takes to restore order in my courtroom. No one spoke. Even Rusk stopped moving. Maya stood very still. Then she closed her folder. Thank you, Your Honor. Whitmore blinked, as if the words reached him a second too late. Maya turned to Elijah. Hold on. Elijah was breathing hard. Maya, hold on, she repeated. Rusk shoved him toward the side door. Move. The door opened. Beyond it was the secured corridor leading to holding, transport intake, and the rear exit where the county vans waited. One more turn, and Elijah would be out of the courtroom. One more locked door, and Maya would not see him again before Blackridge. Ruth gripped Maya's arm. They're taking him. Maya pulled out her phone. Whitmore saw it. Confiscate that. Rusk turned. Maya did not dial. She only pressed one button. The call was already active. Now, she said. Rusk lunged. Maya slipped the phone into her pocket before he reached her. Too late. Whitmore's voice cracked. What did you do? Maya faced him. I let you finish. The courthouse hallway outside the main doors erupted with heavy footsteps. Rusk looked toward the sound. A deputy at the back door shouted, Sheriff? Rusk kept one hand on Elijah and reached for his radio with the other. Before he could speak, the side door Elijah had been pulled toward opened from the corridor side. A man in a dark jacket stood there. Not a deputy, not courthouse staff. He held up a badge wallet, but he did not step fully into the room yet. Sheriff Rusk, he said. Take your hand off Elijah. William. Rusk stared at him. Who the hell are you? Maya did not turn around. She knew the voice. Daniel Brooks stepped into the courtroom. Behind him, 2 more agents entered from the secured corridor. At the same time, the main courtroom doors opened, and additional federal agents moved in from the hallway. Brooks spoke again, louder now. Federal agents, stop the transfer. Everything stopped except the printer behind Lena Price, still pushing out pages. Whitmore's face went white, then red. This court is in session. Brooks looked at him. And this courtroom is now part of a federal civil rights and public corruption investigation. Ruth's hand flew to her mouth. Elia stared at Maya. Rusk's grip loosened, but he did not let go. Brooks's voice hardened. Sheriff, release him. Rusk looked at Whitmore. That was his mistake. Brooks saw it. Maya saw it too. The whole room saw that Sheriff Rusk did not know whether to obey federal agents until his judge told him what to do. Whitmore lifted the gavel as if it still meant something. You have no authority to interrupt a lawful county proceeding. Brooks answered. We have authority under a sealed federal order, and we have live documentation of threats, obstruction, assault, falsification concerns, and an attempted same-day punitive transfer of a restrained defendant. Rusk finally let go of Elijah. One of the agents stepped between Rusk and the deputies. Another moved to Elijah. Elijah did not understand yet that the hands touching him now were not there to hurt him. He flinched. The agent softened his voice. Mr. William, you're not being moved to Blackridge. Ruth sobbed once. Maya still had not moved toward her brother. Whitmore pointed at her. This woman has been disrupting my courtroom all day. Brooks looked at Maya. Agent William? The title struck the room like a second gavel. Ruth turned slowly. Elijah's mouth opened. Rusk's face changed first, because he understood faster than the judge. Maya reached inside her folder and removed her badge wallet. She opened it and held it where Whitmore could see. My name is Maya William, she said. I am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Whitmore stared at the badge. For the first time all day, he had no words ready. Maya lowered the badge but did not put it away. You thought I came here begging, she said. I came here recording. Rusk took one step back. Brooks turned to him. Sheriff Dale Rusk, place your hands where I can see them. Rusk looked toward the side door, then toward the main doors. There was no open path left. Whitmore slammed the gavel again. The sound was suddenly small. You set me up, he said. Maya looked at him. No. I asked for proof. You answered with threats. Lena Price lifted the stack of printed pages from the tray. Her hands were shaking, but she held them out to Brooks. Transfer confirmation, she said. Printed from the court record. Brooks took the papers. Maya looked at Elijah then. His cuffs were still on. His shoulders were trembling, but he was still in the room. The side door remained open behind him. The van would leave without him. And Judge Calvin Whitmore, for the first time in 30 years, was no longer the most powerful person in his own courtroom. Federal agents. For several seconds, no one moved. The old rules of that courtroom had not disappeared all at once. They still hung in the air out of habit. Judge Whitmore still sat above everyone else. The seal of the county still faced the room. The deputies still wore sidearms. Elijah was still in chains, but the power had shifted. Maya saw it in Sheriff Rusk first. His shoulders changed. His right hand hovered near his belt, then moved away when he noticed the federal agent watching him from the side door. He was calculating exits. There were none. Agent Daniel Brooks stepped farther into the courtroom, calm and deliberate. "Sheriff Rusk," he said, "hands where I can see them." Rusk lifted both hands slowly, palms forward. "You people are making a mistake." Brooks did not raise his voice. "We'll document that statement." Judge Whitmore stood behind the bench. "This is outrageous. I am a sitting judge of this county. You cannot storm into my courtroom on the word of some undercover federal agent with a personal grievance." Maya turned toward him. "Let the record show Judge Calvin Whitmore has identified me as a federal agent and is now attempting to frame a civil rights investigation as a family dispute." Whitmore's face hardened. "You do not get to say that anymore." Maya looked at Lena Price, who still stood near the printer with the pages in her hands. Lena swallowed, then said, "It's still recording." Whitmore looked at her. That simple sentence did what the arrival of the FBI had not fully done. It told him the room had stopped belonging to him before he even knew it. Brooks took the printed pages from Lena and passed them to another agent. "Secure those as evidence." "Yes, sir." Rusk took one step back. "I want my attorney." Brooks looked at him. "You'll have that opportunity. Right now, step away from Elijah William. I already let him go. You are still too close." Rusk's jaw worked, but he moved back. The agent beside Elijah crouched slightly. "Mr. William, I'm going to remove the chain from your ankles first. Keep your hands still." Elijah nodded, though his eyes stayed on Maya. "Maya," he said, his voice rough. "You're FBI?" Maya's face softened for the first time all day. "Yes. All this time? I was your sister before I was anything else." Ruth let out a broken sound and pressed one hand over her mouth. "Baby, why didn't you tell me?" Maya looked at her mother. "Because if you knew, they might have seen it in your face." Ruth stared at her for half a second, then nodded through tears. "Then I'm glad I didn't know." Whitmore slammed the gavel again. "This emotional display is irrelevant. Agent Brooks, if that is your name, you are interfering with an active judicial proceeding." Brooks looked up at the bench. "Judge Calvin Whitmore, this proceeding has produced evidence of federal violations, including deprivation of rights under color of law, obstruction of justice, witness intimidation, falsification of court records, and conspiracy to remove a defendant in order to prevent review of exculpatory evidence." Whitmore's voice sharpened. "Allegations. Documented allegations," Brooks said. Maya added, "In your own words." Whitmore pointed at her. "You baited this court." "No," Maya said. "I brought a receipt. You brought threats." Rusk laughed once, too loud, too forced. "You think a receipt takes down a judge?" Maya turned to him. "No. A receipt showed where to start." Brooks nodded to the agents near the side door. "Secure the transport corridor." Two agents moved out immediately. Rusk's eyes followed them. "You got no right going back there," Brooks said. "We have a sealed federal order." Whitmore said, "Produce it." Brooks removed a folded document from inside his jacket and handed it to an agent, who brought it to the bench but did not step too close. Whitmore snatched it, read the top page, and went very still. Maya watched his eyes. The anger stayed, but something else entered behind it. Recognition. A sealed order meant the decision had been made before this final moment. It meant someone outside Ravenshade County had already looked at enough facts to question his authority. Whitmore looked up. "This order does not authorize you to arrest me," Brooks said. "No. The arrest warrant does." The room tightened. Rusk turned his head. Whitmore's hand froze on the paper. Brooks continued. "Judge Calvin Whitmore, you are under arrest pursuant to a federal warrant signed this afternoon." Whitmore's mouth opened, but no sound came. Maya stepped aside as two agents approached the bench. The judge finally found his voice. "You will not put hands on me in my courtroom," Brooks answered. "This is no longer just your courtroom." One agent moved behind the bench. Another approached from the side. Whitmore backed away until the chair hit his legs. "This is unlawful," he said. Maya said. "So was burying a paid receipt." Whitmore snapped his eyes to her. "You will regret this." Maya's voice stayed quiet. "Let the record show Judge Whitmore threatened a federal agent during execution of a warrant. That was the last time she used the phrase in that room. One of the agents took Whitmore's arm. The judge pulled back, but only once. The second agent secured his wrist, then the other. The sound of the cuffs closing did not echo. It did not need to. Ruth watched, one hand still covering her mouth. Elijah watched too, free now from the ankle chain but still rubbing his wrists where the cuffs had cut into skin. Sheriff Rusk turned toward the side door. Brooks saw it. "Don't." Rusk stopped. "Sheriff Dale Rusk," Brooks said. "You are also under arrest." Rusk's face flushed. "For what?" "Witness intimidation, assault under color of law, obstruction of justice, and participation in an unlawful transfer order designed to interfere with a federal civil rights investigation." Rusk pointed at Whitmore. "I followed a court order." Whitmore turned on him instantly. "Do not speak." Maya looked between them. That was quick. Rusk's eyes went wide with anger. "You don't know anything. I know you looked at him before letting go of Elijah." Brooks stepped closer. "Hands behind your back." Rusk did not move. An agent near the main doors shifted into position. Brooks said, "Sheriff, do not make this harder than it already is." Rusk looked at the deputies. None of them moved to help him. One looked down. Another stepped away from Elijah entirely. Rusk put his hands behind his back. The cuffs closed. Ruth whispered, "Thank you, Jesus." Elijah sat slowly in the chair the deputies had used to hold him. The agent beside him knelt again. "Mr. William, we're going to have medical look at your ribs." Elijah nodded. "Am I still going to Blackridge?" "No," Brooks said before anyone else could answer. "You are not being transferred." Elijah looked at Maya. He seemed too tired to smile, too stunned to cry. Maya walked to him then. Not fast, not dramatic, just directly. She crouched in front of him and took his cuffed hands carefully. An agent unlocked them with a small key. The cuffs opened. Elijah stared down at his wrists like he did not understand freedom in pieces. Maya held the cuffs for a second, then handed them back to the agent. "You're safe now," she said. Elijah's voice broke. "I thought they were going to take me." "I know. You let it go so far. I had to let him say enough." Elijah looked past her at Whitmore, now standing in front of the bench with his hands behind his back. "He said I'd disappear." Maya's eyes did not leave her brother's face. He was wrong. Ruth came to them then. Maya stood just in time for Ruth to pull Elijah into her arms. Elijah winced, but he held on. "Mama, I'm okay," he whispered. "No, you are not," Ruth said. "But you are here." Lena stood near the clerk's table, still frozen between terror and relief. Maya turned to her. "Mrs. Price." Lena looked up. Maya said, "You did the right thing." Lena shook her head. "Too late," Brooks answered before Maya could. "Late is still evidence." An agent took the flash drive from Maya's folder after she handed it over. Another collected the printed transfer record, the receipt copy, the deletion log, the Chambers note, and the courthouse backup. Whitmore watched every page leave the room. His voice returned, quieter now. "You have no idea what you've done to this county." Maya faced him. "I know exactly what we stopped it from doing." Brooks nodded to the agents. Whitmore was walked down from the bench. Rusk was moved beside him. No badge now. No command in his voice. No hand on Elijah's chains. At the courtroom doors, Whitmore looked back once. His eyes landed on Maya. "This is not over," he said. Maya did not raise her voice. "For Elijah, it is." The agents let him out. The room stayed silent after he was gone, but it was not the same silence as before. This one did not belong to fear. Maya turned to Brooks. "We need the jail, intake logs, transport schedule, and every disciplinary isolation order signed this month." Brooks nodded. "Already moving." Ruth looked at Maya through tears. "You're not done?" Maya looked toward the side door where Elijah had nearly vanished. "No, Mama," she said. "This was just the door opening. I brought witnesses." The first thing Maya did after Judge Whitmore and Sheriff Rusk were taken out was turn back to Elijah. He was sitting now, one arm wrapped around his ribs, trying to pretend the pain was smaller than it was. That was a William habit. Ruth had it. Maya had it. Elijah had learned it from both of them. Maya crouched in front of him. Look at me. I'm looking. Breathe in. He tried. His face tightened. Slow, she said. Don't prove anything right now. Elijah gave a weak laugh and regretted it immediately. You sound like Mama. Ruth wiped her face with the back of her hand. Good. Then listen. A federal agent stepped beside them. Medical is on the way. Ambulance is 3 minutes out. Elijah looked up fast. Ambulance? Maya said. You were hit twice while restrained. I don't want a whole scene. Ruth leaned down. Baby, this whole day has been a scene. Let somebody check your ribs. Elijah looked at Maya again. Am I under arrest? No. Am I charged with anything? Not by anyone who still has authority in this room. He stared at her for a moment, still catching up with the shape of what had happened. So, I can leave? After medical clears you, and after we finish paperwork. He glanced toward the bench. Paperwork almost got me sent to Blackridge. Maya's voice softened. This time, it brings you home. Across the room, Daniel Brooks directed agents with short instructions. Secure chambers. Lock down the clerk terminals. Pull hallway camera footage before anyone touches the system. Get the jail supervisor on the phone. No transfers leave this county without federal review. Lena Price stood near her desk, both hands clasped tightly in front of her. She looked smaller now that the danger had passed its first wave. Not safe, just no longer alone in it. Maya stood and walked to her. Mrs. Price. Lena swallowed. Am I being arrested? No. I copied court records. You preserved evidence. I gave you restricted files. You stopped an unlawful transfer. Lena looked toward the doors where Whitmore had been let out. He said, my employment would be reviewed. Brooks walked over in time to hear that. It will be. By people who are not Judge Whitmore. Lena nodded, but fear stayed in her face. Sheriff Rusk knows where I live. Brooks said, you'll be placed under protection tonight. You and your husband. Her eyes filled. My husband doesn't know. Then we'll explain carefully. Lena looked at Maya. I should have done this years ago. Maya did not let her turn the moment into punishment. Today was the day you had the proof and the courage in the same hand. Lena shook her head. There were others. I know. I saw names. I saw payments vanish. I saw grandmothers bring envelopes of cash. I told myself I was just a clerk. Oh, Ruth, still near Elijah, heard that and turned. A person can be scared and still be decent. Lena looked at her. Ruth's voice trembled, but it held. You helped my son when it counted. Lena covered her mouth and cried quietly. An agent came through the side door. Agent Brooks, holding area secured. Transport van was staged at rear exit. 2 deputies detained for questioning. Elijah Williams' transfer packet was already loaded. Maya's jaw tightened. Loaded before final confirmation? The agent nodded. Yes. Brooks looked at Maya. That helps. No, Ruth said from behind them. That hurts. Everyone turned. Ruth stood beside Elijah, one hand on his shoulder. I know you mean it helps the case, but don't forget what it means. They were ready to take him, no matter what anybody said. Brooks nodded with respect. You're right, ma'am. Maya walked back to her mother. We won't forget. The ambulance crew arrived with 2 county EMTs who seemed unsure who was in charge until Brooks pointed them to Elijah. One EMT knelt. Mr. William, I'm going to check your ribs and breathing. Elijah looked at Maya. Do I have to? Ruth answered first. Yes. He hid. Yes, ma'am. While the EMT examined him, Brooks handed Maya a sealed evidence bag. Inside was the receipt. Elijah's receipt. The paper that Whitmore had mocked, ignored, and tried to make disappear. Chain of custody, Brooks said. I need you to confirm this is the document you brought into court. Maya took the bag and looked at it. Case number, payment date, county stamp. So small, so ordinary, so powerful. This is it, she said. Brooks signed the evidence form and passed it to another agent. Elijah watched from the chair. That little piece of paper did all this? Maya looked at him. No, they did all this. The paper proved it. A deputy near the main door shifted nervously. He was the young one who had hesitated before taking Maya's arm. Brooks noticed him. You. Name, Deputy Harris. You were present. When Sheriff Rusk struck the defendant, Harris swallowed. Yes, sir. You were present when Judge Whitmore ordered transfer after refusing to review payment evidence? Yes, sir. Do not leave the building. No, sir. Maya watched him carefully. He looked ashamed now. Shame was not justice, but sometimes it was the first honest thing a frightened man had left. The EMT stood. He needs imaging. I don't think anything's collapsed, but he needs to be transported to the hospital, Elijah said. Not the jail. No, Brooks said. Hospital. Federal escort. Ruth closed her eyes. Thank you. Elijah reached for Maya's hand. She took it. You really couldn't tell me? He asked. No, I was scared. I know. I thought you were just standing there letting it happen. Maya held his hand tighter. I was standing there making sure it could never happen quietly again. He looked down. I'm sorry. For what? For thinking you didn't have a plan. Maya gave him the smallest smile. You were allowed to be scared. Ruth stepped closer and touched Maya's cheek. So were you. Maya did not answer that. Not in front of agents. Not in that room. Instead, she turned toward the bench where Whitmore had sat. His chair was empty. For the first time all day, it looked like furniture. Nothing more. Brooks came beside her. Chambers is being searched. We found handwritten notes tied to transport approvals. The jail is freezing all isolation orders. Atlanta is preparing the federal complaint. What about Whitmore? Processing. Rusk? Same. Maya nodded. Behind her, Elijah was helped onto a stretcher. Ruth walked beside him, refusing to let go of his hand. As the EMTs rolled him toward the main doors, Elijah looked back. Maya, she turned. You coming? In a minute. Ruth frowned. Maya, I'll be right behind you, Mama. Ruth knew that tone. She did not argue. 1 minute. Maya waited until they were outside the courtroom. Then she walked to the bench, picked up the gavel Whitmore had used all day, and held it for 1 second. Brooks watched her. Evidence? No. She set it back down exactly where it had been. He thought that was power, she said. Brooks looked around the room, at the agents, the printer, the files, the empty judge's chair. It was noise, he said. Maya turned toward the doors. In the hallway, Ruth's voice called softly. Maya. She walked out of the courtroom carrying no gavel, no robe, no title that belonged to that county. Only the proof. Only the witnesses. Only the brother they had failed to disappear. The room wasn't theirs alone. 3 months later, Judge Calvin Whitmore sat at a different table in a different courtroom. No robe, no gavel, no bench above everyone else. Just a chair, a defense attorney, and a federal indictment thick enough that even the act of turning its pages sounded heavy. The federal courthouse in Atlanta did not care who Whitmore had been in Ravenshade County. It did not rise when he entered. It did not wait for his mood. It did not let him decide who could speak and who had to swallow the truth. Maya Williams sat 2 rows behind the prosecution table with Ruth on her left and Elijah on her right. Elijah's ribs had healed. His wrists had healed faster. The rest took longer. Some nights he still woke up angry. Some mornings he checked his phone before getting out of bed, as if another order could appear from nowhere and drag him back into that courthouse. But he was there, free, wearing a plain suit, holding his mother's hand, and waiting to testify against the man who had tried to make him vanish. Ruth leaned close to Maya. He looks smaller down there. Maya looked at Whitmore. He was never as big as that bench made him seem. Ruth nodded slowly. Power can fool a room, Maya said. Only until the room starts listening. When court began, Whitmore kept his eyes forward. He did not look at Maya. He did not look at Elijah. He did not look at Lena Price, who sat near the front under federal protection, hands folded tightly around a tissue. The first evidence was simple. Elijah's receipt. The prosecutor placed it on the screen for the jury to see. Case number, payment date, county stamp, amount paid in full. Then came the deletion log. Then the pre-drafted transfer order. Then the printed confirmation from Whitmore's own courtroom record. Then the audio. Whitmore's voice filled the federal courtroom. Yes, Miss William. I would do it again. I would do it 100 times if that is what it takes to restore order in my courtroom. No one moved while it played. Whitmore closed his eyes. Elia did not. He watched the jury listen to the sentence that had nearly sent him to Blackridge. The prosecutor called Lena Price first. She walked to the witness stand with careful steps. Her voice shook at the beginning, but it steadied when she described the midnight deletion, the restricted file, the chamber's approval, and the way transfer orders were prepared before poor defendants ever got a chance to speak. The defense attorney tried to make her look like a frightened employee protecting herself. Mrs. Price, isn't it true you participated in this system for years? Lena looked down once, then back up. Yes. And now you expect this jury to believe you suddenly became truthful? No, she said. I expect them to believe I finally became useful. Maya saw Ruth wipe her eyes. Then, Elijah was called. He walked to the witness stand without chains. That mattered. Every step mattered. The prosecutor asked him what happened in Judge Whitmore's courtroom. Elijah told it plainly. He did not decorate it. He did not make himself heroic. He said he paid a fine. He brought a receipt. He asked the judge to look at it. He was called disruptive. He was struck while restrained. He was almost transferred before the evidence could be reviewed. The prosecutor asked, "What did you believe would happen when Sheriff Rusk pulled you toward that side door?" Elijah looked at the jury. "I believed I was going to disappear into a place where my family couldn't reach me." Ruth lowered her head. The prosecutor asked, "What stopped that from happening?" Elijah looked at Maya. "My sister didn't save me by shouting louder than them. She saved me by making sure every threat had a witness." Maya held his gaze for 1 second, then looked down. Finally, Maya was called. She walked to the stand and took the oath. Whitmore looked at her then. He could not help himself. The prosecutor asked, "Agent William, why did you allow Judge Whitmore to believe you were alone?" Maya answered, "Because that is when men like him tell the truth." The prosecutor asked, "And what truth did he tell?" Maya looked toward the jury, that he believed a courtroom could be used to punish a family for asking for proof. The defense attorney stood for cross-examination. He tried to suggest Maya had provoked the judge. He tried to suggest her family connection made the operation emotional. He tried to suggest Whitmore had only been trying to maintain order. Maya let him finish. Then she said, "Order is not the same as justice. A quiet room can still be committing a crime." The courtroom went still. The attorney changed subjects. By the end of the week, Calvin Whitmore was convicted on federal counts of deprivation of rights under color of law, obstruction of justice, witness intimidation, falsification of records, and conspiracy tied to unlawful transfers. Sheriff Dale Rusk took a plea before trial ended. He admitted he had enforced Whitmore's orders, threatened families, and used disciplinary isolation to pressure defendants who challenged payment records. Alan Meeks resigned before he could be removed. He was not the center of the case, but his silence followed him out of public office. Ravenshade County Courthouse was placed under federal review. Every same-day disciplinary transfer was frozen. Every payment deletion from the past 5 years was audited. Families who had been told they owed money they had already paid began receiving letters, then calls, then refunds. Some refunds were small, $140, $212, $95. But Ruth said something when she saw the first elderly woman on the local news holding a check in both hands. "It was never just the money," Maya said. "No, it was being told your truth didn't count." Maya nodded. "Now it does." 1 year later, Elijah William walked back into Ravenshade County Courthouse, not in cuffs, not with a deputy behind him. He wore a badge clipped to his shirt from a civil rights legal clinic in Atlanta, where he had started interning while preparing for law school. Ruth insisted on straightening it before they went inside. "Mama," Elijah said, smiling. "It's straight. It is straight because I fixed it." Maya laughed softly. The courthouse had changed, but not enough to pretend the past had vanished. The same hallways remained, the same doors, the same courtroom where Whitmore had said no one was coming. But now every hearing was recorded. Payment records had outside backups. Defendants were given written explanations of their rights. No one could be transferred to disciplinary isolation without independent review. A new judge sat on the bench. She was firm, older, and careful with every word. Elijah paused outside the courtroom door. Maya watched him. "You okay?" He took a breath. "I thought coming back would feel different. How does it feel?" "Like I remember everything. That may help someone today." He nodded. Ruth touched his arm. "Your pain doesn't get the last word unless you hand it the microphone." Elijah smiled at her. "You been saving that one?" "All year." A woman stepped out of the clerk's office holding a printed receipt. She was older, black, and tired in the way working people get tired when they have spent too many years explaining themselves to counters and windows. She looked at the paper, then at the clerk. "So this means they got my payment?" The clerk nodded. "Yes, ma'am. It's in the system, and printed for your records." The woman pressed the receipt to her chest and whispered, "Thank you, Jesus." Elijah watched her. Maya saw his face change. Not healed, directed. He turned to Maya. "You think I can really become the kind of lawyer this county needs?" Maya looked through the courtroom doors, toward the place where he had once stood in chains. "You already know what injustice sounds like," she said. "Now learn how to make justice answer." Ruth took both their hands. "This time," she said. They had to listen. Maya looked at the courtroom, at the recorder mounted near the clerk's desk, at the people waiting to be heard. "Because this time," she said, "the room wasn't theirs alone." Elijah walked inside and sat beside a legal aid attorney preparing to help a man with a disputed fine. Maya stayed at the doorway with Ruth. No one stopped them. No one told them family stops here. And for the first time in that courthouse, the truth did not have to beg for permission to be heard. The lesson from Maya and Elijah's story is simple, but powerful. Injustice grows strongest in rooms where people are too afraid to speak, and too many powerful men count on silence to protect them. But truth does not need to be loud to survive. Sometimes it only needs one brave person to stand still, ask the right question, and make sure every threat has a witness. Justice may come slowly, but when it finally arrives with proof, courage, and people willing to listen, even the highest seat in the room can be brought down. Thank you for staying with us until the very end of this story. Your time, your attention, and your heart mean more than you know. If this story moved you, please share your thoughts with us. Tell us what you liked, what could be told better, and how we can improve the way we bring these stories to life. And if you have a powerful true story, a family story, or an experience about injustice, courage, kindness, or justice finally being served, we would be honored if you shared it with our channel. Your story might be the one someone else needs to hear. This video is a work of fiction created with the assistance of artificial intelligence. All characters, events, and situations are not real and do not represent any actual people or true stories. The content is intended for storytelling and emotional illustration only.